Hi, John here. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how a coal-fired power station works, and I'm going to show you all of the main components in 3D. We've got a lot of ground to cover in a very short amount of time, so I'm going to have to go through this quite quickly, but by the end of it, you should have a really good understanding of how coal-fired power stations work and some of the machinery and components that are involved. So here is our coal-fired power station. You can see that we have a cooling tower, we have the main power station building, we have some conveyors, and the conveyors also go off to some coal domes, which are these areas over here. In order to understand how this power station works, we're going to break it down into different systems. And the first system that we are going to look at is the fuel system. In order to operate our coal-fired power station, we're going to need coal. Lots of it. We're going to take the coal and we're going to store it in a coal yard. We're going to have to use a stacker and a reclaimer, or a machine that can perform both functions, which is known as a stacker reclaimer. There are several different designs of stacker and reclaimer. The one we're looking at now is actually taken from the surface mining industry, and it is an excavator. But you may also see a very similar design used in a coal yard because they can also double up as stacker reclaimers. Let's have a look at the design quickly, and I will show you how we may stack coal and how we may reclaim coal. What you'll sometimes see is that on top of these machines you'll have a conveyor belt which discharges down a chute and onto this area here. So if we were a conveyor conveying coal, we would come down from this angle and we would be discharged onto this conveyor belt here, and we would go to the end of the boom. I'll just spin it around here, travel down there, and then we would exit the stacker somewhere along the side of the stacker here, and we would have a plume of coal that just runs off the stacker. And in this way, we can convey coal to a coal yard and we can begin to stack it. When we want to reclaim that coal, what we actually do is we lower down this wheel into the coal, and then the buckets will rotate, they'll dig into the coal pile or the stockpile, and as the buckets come up, they will empty at round about this position here. You can actually see there is a hole that opens up. We go up here, there's a hole here, and we may see the start of a hole round about here, and the coal will begin to empty. It will drop down, hit the side of the wheel, and it will land on the conveyor. The conveyor, if we reverse the direction, remember before we were stacking coal, so it was conveying coal in this direction and just dumping it off the end of the boom. Well, now the coal is dropping down, it's going to land on the conveyor and it's going to go back the opposite way. When it goes back the opposite way, what we're going to do is send the coal along here. It's going to drop down again, drop down here, land on this conveyor, and then it's going to go all the way along this conveyor, drop down again, onto another conveyor, along here, down again, and onto a main conveyor, where it will then go to a coal yard or a shipping area or wherever the coal needs to be before it's transported away. So that is how we would use a stacker reclaimer. If we back up the animation, I can show you how it works. You can see that the buckets rotate. The boom doesn't necessarily have to be raised, the boom can be lowered down. The most important thing is that as these buckets come up, they will dump the coal through the gap that opens up around about here, and the coal will just drop down and then onto the conveyor. So that is how we stack and reclaim coal. And I think we'll do another video about this machine a little bit later on because it is actually quite fascinating. It weighs over 13,000 tons. It took 5 years to build on site. It's 220 meters long and almost 100 meters high. And to give you an idea of just how big this machine is, it can excavate about 240,000 tons a day. If you want to see a video about this machine, then please do leave a comment in the comments area. Once we've stacked our coal in the coal yard and then we begin to reclaim it, we can convey it to a silo, and this day silo may have enough capacity for 4 or 8 hours of operation, and we'll take the coal from the silo and we will send it to a coal pulverizer before it's sent to the boiler. So here is our coal pulverizer. This is actually a vertical grinding mill, and it's known as a roll and race type grinding mill. Our coal comes in through a chute over here. It's going to come down and it's going to go into our pulverizer. And if we take a cross section, you can actually see how this works. The coal, or the raw coal, which is represented by these blue blocks, is going to drop into the pulverizer. As it comes down, it's going to land on our grinding table. This is our grinding table here. And then we've got some rollers which press against the grinding table. In our example, we've actually got 3. The rollers press against the grinding table and the grinding table rotates. And as it rotates, the rollers rotate with it, and they will crush the coal between themselves and the grinding table. As the coal is crushed, its size is going to be reduced, and we're going to get coal dust. The coal dust is thrown out to the sides by the grinding table. Some people would call this centrifugal force and some people centripetal. But either way, the coal dust is thrown out to the sides and it's going to pass over these vents here. And through these vents is going to come hot air. The hot air comes from a centrifugal fan normally. And the air is going to travel upwards, carrying the coal with it until it reaches the top of the pulverizer and passes through this orangey red section here, which is known as a classifier. And the bits that are too large are going to fall back down to the bottom of the pulverizer. And the bits that are not too large, the coal dust, is going to pass out the top of the pulverizer through this discharge here. And then we're going to send that coal dust out of the discharge here to our water tube boiler, where we're going to burn the coal in the furnace. So let's go and have a look now at our water tube boiler. So our coal has left the coal pulverizer and now it's going to our water tube boiler. Here is our water tube boiler. And the coal pulverizers are actually represented by these items down here. Here is one and there is another. And there's actually 4 pulverizers in total. Air is being fed to the base of the pulverizers, and then the coal dust is being blown out of the top, and we can see through these pipes here that the coal dust is being delivered to the boiler. Coal dust comes up and across to the burners and into the boiler. Let's take a cross section a moment so that we can see what's going on inside the boiler itself. As the coal dust enters into the boiler, we're going to ignite the coal dust and we're going to get combustion. We're going to turn the chemical energy contained by the fuel into heat. And we're going to use that heat to generate steam. And let's go and have a look at the water system so we can see how we get water to the boiler in order that we can generate steam.